Hey, everybody. It is the Backstage Slam episode number 111. For those of you joining us live, welcome. I know this isn't the usual channel, but, well, things have happened. Our good brother Ben, got hit by a hurricane this weekend. I know. I'm usually the one that gets by a hurricane. But to step up and get the show on the road, it is me, Josh, and joining us all the way from jolly old England is the third member of the Backstage Slam. You might know him as Michael, but we call him Michael. What's up, Michael?
So you mean for the first time in about, 17 years, I've actually been around to do it because we're recording it at a normal time for me.
hey, it's completely Ben's fault for giving you that Brock Lesnar contract.
Oh, I see. Right. So if I've got the Brock Lesnar contract, then can I have the Brock Lesnar wage, please? I need money.
Well, unfortunately, that's something that you're going to have to talk to Ben about. But since he's not here, I'm just going to have to give you standard wages.
Fair enough. Can you just confirm that we are live?
We are absolutely live, broadcasting for the world to see.
On what platform?
YouTube's.
Okay.
But there's people that are going to be downloading this and listening to it later. So, hello, podcast listeners.
I was going to say nothing's gone live on the Backstage Slam YouTube channel, so I was slightly concerned that we've started this and it's not actually gone live. So I'm hoping this works out.
That's the thing. I started this on the Semicord Studios channel.
I see. Right. Let me look that up then and see that we're actually working properly. This is a fantastic start to the podcast.
We're good.
But it's always worth doing. Is it what, Semicore Studio?
Yes. For those of you that aren't aware, I have my own little thing where I do podcasts, and I guess I should do more YouTube videos.
Okay.
That way it won't be such a surprise when these things happen.
So this is us.
Where I do podcasts. And yeah, that's us. I should do YouTube videos. That way it won't be such a surprise when these things happen. So this is us.
Yeah, it works. Right. We can actually start this friggin' podcast 4 days later.
So many technical difficulties, but it wouldn't be the Backstage Slam if we didn't have them, would we?
This weekend, in terms of content, has just been poor from my end. Like, I was meant to take over the live stream for NXT Saturday, and I couldn't get it to work. And then I was meant to do a vlog on Sunday because we were going to a SummerSlam viewing party in London, and then the event got cancelled. So I'd started vlogging throughout the day, and then we got to the event and it was cancelled. So I ended up having to come home, watch the pay-per-view at home. I had people over, so I couldn't even do a live stream there. And then podcast just wouldn't work, and I was, it was just really getting on my nerves. But we're here. We're live. It actually works. Let's talk about the SummerSlam weekend, Josh.
Yeah, it was a great weekend for wrestling all the way around.
100%.
So let's start off with NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 4. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and ask you at the top, match of the night.
Oh, match of the night is also match of the year, in my opinion. Adam Cole versus Ricochet for the North American Championship. What a fucking match. Am I allowed to swear?
I don't know.
Screw it. It's happened now. What a fucking match. Honestly, just everything that you could think of that would, as you're watching the match and you're watching it progress and you're watching the story being told throughout the match and you're watching the highs and the lows, everything that you could think of to go, and if they did this, it would make it even better. They hit that and they exceeded it. The spot that everyone's been talking about on social media is obviously Ricochet's springboard somersault into the super kick from Adam Cole. Following that up with, I believe it was an Oshigoroshi or like a fireman carry net breaker or something of the sort, and the closest 2 count you'll ever see in your life. And for all of the spots, it was so well built, so well thought through. The near falls were fantastic. Those two have such good chemistry, and I'm looking forward to hopefully not just one rematch, but maybe a little saga. What about yourself?
I can't disagree. Ricochet and Adam Cole tore the house down, and that's saying something considering that the main event was Ciampa and Gargano. Who would think that somebody could top the excellent matches those two have been putting on? But Ricochet and Adam Cole came out, tore the house down, and like you said, that kick off the moonsault from the second rope was just sick, and it was immediately followed up. And there is not much I can say that you haven't said about this match other than it was awesome. It was awesome, and it was in the middle of the card too. So I love it when guys go out and say, "Okay, top that."
Yeah, but could you imagine had that have been the main event?
Yeah, that could have easily been a main event anywhere.
That could have been a main event of any NXT takeover should Gargano and Ciampa not have been on the card. But I'm going to make a bold statement here. Should both competitors stay fit and have longevity through NXT and through the main roster, I can see Adam Cole versus Ricochet for a world title at WrestleMania in the future.
I wish I had that much confidence, but that's only because of my lack of confidence in the booking of the main roster.
Not a lack of confidence in the characters themselves.
Right. They can stand on. They have the talent to stand on their own in any company on this planet, but the WWE, as I've said before, doesn't do wrestling main events.
Yeah,
very often.
They do sports entertainment main events, don't they?
Otherwise, we would have seen all sorts of crazy dream matches with the roster they have on Raw and SmackDown. They could be putting on the best matches in the world. They just choose not to.
Very true. On the flip side to your question, I'm gonna flip it and ask you a question. What was your least favorite match of the night in NXT?
Oh, that's tougher. Because
see, I don't think it is. But carry on.
My least favorite match of the night, and I hate to say it because it was still a good match, but it wasn't. I don't think it lived up to the legacy of the title itself. Kairi Sane and Shayna Baszler.
Ooh, really?
Yeah.
Joshua, we're going to disagree.
Well, let me say what I got to say.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm not going to stop you.
One, like I said, I really enjoyed the match, but it was the least interesting. But it's like, okay, I didn't get the prime rib steak, but I still got steak. So no complaints there. And Shayna Baszler, was it just me, or did she like come out in wrestling gear and do wrestling moves? It seems like the MMA thing didn't really pop up in this.
See, I thought this was sort of an example of the future that Shayna has in professional wrestling. I think this is probably her best performance since winning the championship. I don't know why it clicked. I think it's because her and Kairi have had a couple of matches, obviously Mae Young Classic and then on NXT TV. So I think they may have been building that little bit of chemistry together. But I thought this was Shayna's best performance at a takeover or in any situation, really, since she won the title. And the post-match interview coupled that as well. I think it was a fantastic night for Shayna Baszler. And obviously, Kairi Sane picking up the championship was something that the majority of people predicted would happen. I say the majority. Someone on this podcast didn't predict Kyrie. But we'll get to that in a bit. But no, I thought this was Shayna Baszler's welcome to professional wrestling party, in my opinion.
Completely agree. Completely agree. But if that wasn't your least favorite match of the night, then what was?
Well, I think it's not that it was my least favorite in an essence because I don't like the competitor, which I think gives it away to some people that have heard me talk about NXT before. It was just the fact that with the potential that it had, it didn't live up to the hype. It didn't live up to the promotion before the match, and all of the hype that it had. I don't feel like it fulfilled anywhere near what it could have been, and it was Velveteen Dream versus EC3. Like, I'm still not convinced that Velveteen will be over should he move up to the main roster. I feel it's going to be another Ty Dillinger situation where it's massively hyped in Full Sail and then move to the main roster, and after the initial hype of, oh my god, it's Ty Dillinger, 10, oh my god, it's a Velveteen Dream, and then it will die out. He'll lose his way and he'll just become another a mid-card, afterthought. But the work he does in NXT, as much as it pains me to say it, is fantastic. I can't take away the kid's my age. I say the kid, he's my age. That's a scary thought. And he has no fear. He has 100% confidence in himself. We don't even need to talk about what was written on his tights. I don't feel like he and EC3 clicked as well as the promotion before the match and in the weeks leading up to it led us to believe that they had. I think that was my problem with it. And also, I think it ended a bit prematurely. I wasn't expecting him to pick up that victory with the almost rushed elbow drop to the apron. I think it could have gone a couple more minutes and it would have felt a bit more satisfying. I just think it ran a bit short and it didn't quite live up to expectation.
That's completely fair. Like I said, I thought every match on this card was good. And I guess if I really had to choose, I'd still go with Kairi Sane and Shayna Baszler as the bottom of my card, and right above that, just barely, would be Velveteen Dream and EC3 for the reasons you said. But before the NXT takeover on Backstage Slam episode 110, if you haven't listened to it, go to your favorite podcatcher, give it a listen, and you'll hear our thoughts previewing this event that we're talking about now. Ben and I said that 3 possible matches could steal the show and be the main event. The tag team match, Undisputed Era versus Mustache Mountain. Ricochet and Adam Cole, which we both said was the sleeper match of the night to look out for, because all focus was on Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano in a last man standing match for the NXT Championship. Turns out Ricochet and Adam Cole put on a great match. I don't think anybody was surprised that the match was good. I think it might have been surprising, A, that it was as good as it was, and B, that it actually did outshine what would be the main event. The Undisputed Era and Mustache Mountain put on a tremendous match that we haven't seen in NXT in a while since, say, the Revival got called up. The tag team division has been a little lacking. AOP did a great job during their run in NXT, but they did a good job for what they are. This is the first time in quite a while where the tag team championships were just like slugging it out, in a actual wrestling match. And of course, the main event, Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. Let's talk about that real quick. What did you think about the ending to that?
I don't think it could have gone any other way, really. If you think about it from a booking perspective, you need to keep the belt on Ciampa. You need his victory to be in a similar vein to his character, which is, sneaky, conniving, picking up victories in the most cowardly way possible, or, the cheapest way possible.
Mm-hmm.
And for Johnny's transformation in character, which they seem to be building slowly over the last couple of weeks, it had to be something that he did that prevented himself from winning. So I think the booking decision was absolutely perfect. And I don't disagree with any of it.
So the punt, the just giant kick that he was going for, you think that was a good spot?
I think, was it a punt or was it like a knee to the face? Because he ultimately connected with it.
Yeah, I think he connected with the knee. Looked like he was going to extend the leg,
Yeah.
And flipped over onto the tables, and Ciampa barely was able to just roll off the stage to get to his feet. Which, in a last man standing match, that's the only thing that counts. What was it? The Iron Man match where we saw that a few weeks ago.
Between who?
That's what I'm struggling to remember. I remember giving a lot of praise, especially in the one spot where somebody rolled off the table just in time because
was that AJ Styles and or was it Seth and Dolph Ziggler?
It might have been Seth and Ziggler. But it's
I think it was Ziggler, yeah.
It's difficult to get that drama in a last man standing match because you got to count all the way to 10, and you're either going to get up or you're not. So the fact that this thing closed with just happened to roll off the side of the stage was, I think, a lot better to build up that suspense, that excitement, that drama, more so than a 1 second left and he jumps to his feet. How about that?
Yeah, it's like I get that same feeling. So when in any kind of normal match where somebody's been knocked to the outside and they just get in at the count of 10, and it's like, this is in the middle of a normal match and you're trying to build suspense. I get that, but it's become predictable that halfway through a match, if you're knocked to the outside and the referee gets higher than, 5 or 6 in his count, that you're going to be waiting there until the 9 and then sliding in as quickly as possible. And that, to me, I think is an example of where selling goes too far that it then becomes unbelievable. Like if, for example, Dean Ambrose hits a Dirty Deeds on the outside to Dolph Ziggler, for example, and Dolph is recovering from the count of 6 and 7, why does he need to wait for the count of 9.5 and then sprint in as if there's nothing wrong with him and then fall back onto the floor? Why can't he be climbing his way up at 6, crawling himself up at 7 and 8, and be rolling in as 9 happens? Why does it have to be an immediate, oh my God, he's at 9, I need to rush in and then sell again? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and like temporarily negating any effects from the match.
Yeah.
And then,
but Seth Rollins does it a lot as well, and it's one of my biggest issues is that it's like, oh my God, I've got to sell this injury. But as soon as the referee says 9, I've got to pretend there's no injury and get back in, and then I've got to pretend there's an injury again. It's like, oh, just do it properly. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Or stay out there. Get counted out.
It might even be a little more believable if we had a few, I don't know, a few count-outs that weren't because someone's just walking away.
But this is the thing. I end up watching a last man standing match, and I'm anticipating, oh, he's going to stay down till 9. I mean, this in a normal match, he'd stay down till 9 and then jump in the ring. So he's going to stay down till 9. Of course, he's going to stay down till 9. Very rarely do we have a last man standing match where people, like in the first sets of counts, get up by 2 or 3. Even with the first sort of big move on the outside, the guy's down till 6 or 7. You know?
Yeah.
Just doesn't seem right.
That's why when the ending for this match happened, I was going nuts. To be honest with you, I just saw this, and like you said, people get up and act like nothing's wrong at the count of 9. They're like, whoop. And then in this case, Ciampa didn't get up. He didn't get up. He fell off the stage and onto his feet. Pure luck, you know, as far as story goes, that he could move at all after that devastating blow to the head. And that's why I really love the ending to the main event. And maybe it's because we had just seen them go at it like, you know, wild hyenas ripping each other apart a few weeks ago. But that might have taken away from some of the freshness of more hardcore style match. But that ending, though,
it was good. It was symbolism in its most simplest but also complex form. You know, you had the almost mirror image of what Tommaso Ciampa did to Johnny Gargano at TakeOver Chicago 1, was it? Or Chicago 2? Whichever one it was, where he turned on Johnny. You got that symbolism of Johnny doing almost the exact same thing to Tommaso as Tommaso did to Johnny. You know, it as a symbolism of someone getting their comeuppance for a year nearly of torment. You couldn't have written it better.
I agree. Before we move on from NXT TakeOver, do you have any comments on the tag team title match?
I have never seen Tyler Bate have a bad match. I don't think I ever will. Trent Seven is the best babyface tag team wrestler in NXT and possibly WWE at present. The Undisputed Era are fantastic, and I'm looking forward to Bobby Fish's return and potential animosity between the three of them that aren't called Adam Cole. And then sort of seeing Adam Cole himself, you know, hey, come on, don't fuck about. We're a team. We're a team. We're all equal, but I'm kind of really the leader. But we're a team, and we're all equal. And, you know, I can see animosity when Bobby Fish returns. Potentially like a Kyle O'Reilly or Bobby Fish face turn somewhere down the line. But not anywhere near sort of soon. I'm talking like round Royal Rumble WrestleMania time. If Vince doesn't have plans to call them up as a faction. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. But fantastic match. As I say, Tyler Bate, another one of the young boys that, I mean, he's younger than me. It's just depressing.
He's what?
And he's
20?
21. Like, if I started training to be a wrestler now, I wouldn't be anywhere near as good in 10 years as he is right now. And he'd still be younger than me.
Yeah. That's not going to change. If I started wrestling or if I started training now, I could be the new Batista, starting late. But I'd have to get the Batista body first.
Well, DDP as well. DDP didn't start wrestling until he was 27.
Batista was a grandfather when he started wrestling.
Wow.
Crazy.
So, do you want to go through the results quick for the Pick'em League, or do you want to do that at the end?
Oh, has that started already?
It has indeed, and somebody's losing.
I wonder who It's me. It's me.
No, I'll run through the tables quickly for Takeover. Where are we going? So obviously we've got two brackets, if you will, as we have people that are playing for prizes and people who are playing for fun. And overall, at the moment, the top three in each section are as follows. In the playing for prizes section, we have Jacob Hernandez and Jazz Hyde, who both scored 4 out of 5 at NXT TakeOver. And then we have Cassie Lee Black, Ryan Armstrong, Tyler Black, and Christian Vandermeer on 3. So they are the joint first, second, and third for the prizes section, or the all-in section, as it was called. And then in the all-in for fun, no prizes, just fun, we have Kevin Rodriguez, Daryl Presland, Herb Brown, and myself, who all got 4 out of 5. Raisuke, Ben, the other host, and Susanna on 3. And Joshua, yourself, you got 2. So, TakeOver wasn't the best for you, but did you recover at SummerSlam? Should we find out?
Well, let's find out after we go over the card.
Go through.
That way I can delay the inevitable.
Yeah.
SummerSlam. Overall, you know what? Let's do it like we did TakeOver. SummerSlam match of the night.
SummerSlam match of the night. This is a tough one. Really is, because they're so difficult. I liked different matches for different reasons, but I don't think you could really call them match of the night. So, for example, Finn Balor versus Baron Corbin, I loved the fact that Finn came out unexpected as the Demon. I think that was a fantastic idea, and it worked really well. Popped the crowd, woke the crowd back up after a couple of quite long-winded matches that sort of took the crowd out a little bit. So that was fantastic, but you can't call a squash match the match of the night. You can call it booking decision of the night, maybe, but not match of the night. Daniel Bryan and The Miz, I think, disappointed, and that's probably going to get me shouted at by fans. I apologize. It was a okay match. It wasn't great. I'm going to go with Dolph Ziggler versus Seth Rollins for match of the night, and it was the opening match. And I'm probably going to get shouted at again.
You know what? I agree with you. Seth Rollins and Dolph Ziggler was probably the wrestling match of the night. The Miz and Daniel Bryan. I mean, come on. It's not everything we thought it would be, but it was telling a good story. And Samoa Joe and AJ Styles, I think, suffered from not having a clear winner. It got a little too personal, and sometimes, you know what? When the championship's on the line, the first match should just be about the championship, and as things go on, as feuds get more intense, then, in my opinion, then it should start getting personal, not immediately. So there's my thought on that. And the really strange thing about the whole SummerSlam card was, let's see, what, 2 matches were decided by disqualification, but there were like screwy finishes, weird finishes for most of the night.
Roll-ups galore.
And I think that might have made the event suffer just a slight bit, but overall, I actually enjoyed it. The first match of the night was during the kickoff show. Andrade Cien Almas and Zelina Vega defeated Lana and Rusev.
This was, I don't know if you can call it a botched finish. Vega's tiny, and so her feet didn't quite catch the ropes for her to do the bridged pin, where she used the ropes for leverage. They fell off, and she had to put them back up as the referee was counting between 2 and 3. I don't really think you can call that a botch, but bless her ring IQ in terms of positioning, she should have known a little bit better than to and enable herself to be in that position. You know, like she's a good wrestler. She's not great, but she's good. And Lana too. Like Lana's nowhere near great. She's improved a hell of a lot, but both of them should really have known that was going to be a stretch, pun intended, to pull that finish off. You know?
Yeah.
If it meant doing another spot where you could get the positioning right, I don't think people would have cared, because they don't expect much from these two. And it was on the pre-show. You know?
The opening of the pre-show at that.
Well, am I being harsh or am I being fair?
I think that's completely fair. And I think maybe because they're positioning, or maybe because, I mean, let's face it, there wasn't a whole lot of interest in this match, or at least to see it in this kind of form again. If there was ever a lock of the night, that was it. We knew Andrade was going to beat Rusev, and that's unfortunate, because I think we all remember when Rusev was undefeated going into WrestleMania, rode a freaking tank to the ring, and it hasn't been the same since he lost to John Cena.
Well, I mean, he was in the WWE Championship match at the last pay-per-view. Now he was the first match on the pre-show of SummerSlam in a mixed tag match. Just think about that for a second. I've had over a week nearly to think about that and actually digest it. He went from the biggest championship in professional wrestling in less than a month to a pre-show mixed tag. What has he done to Vince?
I don't think he's done anything. He's just, I mean, let's face it, that match with AJ Styles was a one-off because they needed a body for AJ to go over. And they threw Rusev a bone, to steal a phrase, and that's it. That was the beginning and end of Rusev's WWE Championship moment, his opportunity. Maybe another one will come up in the future, but at this rate, I don't think he's impressing anybody. It's not because of his work, because he comes out and he does his job. Unfortunately, his job involves doing the job a lot.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate.
Right, I've got an idea for you.
Shoot.
We'll go through each match very quickly and give it a star rating out of 5. No halves, no quarters, no points. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. And we'll compare it and see what we think. And we'll leave it at that for people to, I don't know, maybe in the YouTube comments, put their stars next to each match or what have you, or we can speak to Ben when he's back and see how he compared it for the next pay-per-view. Why don't we do that?
Okay.
Now, these aren't in the order that they were run. They're in the order that they were on, I believe, Wikipedia, where I took them off. So Finn Balor versus Baron Corbin. What would you go with?
1.5.
You're not allowed halves. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5.
Don't you know? You give me your rules. My first job is to break it. Okay, I'll round up to 2.
I'll go 3. Daniel Bryan versus The Miz.
3.
I'll go 3. Rusev Lana Almas Vega.
1.
1. Cedric Alexander Drew Gulak Cruiserweight Championship.
3.
4. Carmella Becky Lynch Charlotte Flair.
4.
3. Alexa Bliss Ronda Rousey.
2.
3. Bludgeon Brothers New Day.
4.
2. B-Team Revival.
2.
1. Dolph Ziggler Seth Rollins.
4.
4. Shinsuke Nakamura Jeff Hardy.
3.
3. Braun Strowman Kevin Owens.
-1.
I'm going to go 3. AJ Styles Samoa Joe.
4.
4. Brock Lesnar Roman Reigns.
-3.
-5. Now, are there any of those points that you want to discuss from my end? Or because I don't really disagree with many of yours in terms of we were very close on all of them. Are there any that you want to talk about, or do you want to move on to the biggest talking point?
I think our biggest discrepancy was the New Day and Bludgeon Brothers.
Yeah.
I liked it more than you did.
Yeah,
but of course, I'm a big New Day mark, so...
Yeah, I give it a 2. The reason I do that, I might be being harsh, but the New Day were not on it as much as they usually were. Like, I didn't feel like they were in it, and I know Rowan got injured halfway through the match, and looking back at it, you can sort of see when it happened, and it goes downhill from there. The DQ, I feel, was a cool-on-the-fly move by either New Day or Rowan himself. And I feel that took away from the match. I think the New Day were meant to pick up the championships Sunday night, not Tuesday. That reason, it's as low as it is for me with a 2.
Well, if they were supposed to pick him up on Sunday, why wouldn't they just go with the regularly planned finish, or just switch up who gets the pin?
I don't know. I can't answer that. I just have that feeling that Rowan made the call. I think he knew he was going to be out a while. But you don't go against Vince. And if Vince has said that a match should end this way with this happening, you can't go against that. Or you can't do what Vince wants, but in a different way. So if the New Day were to pick up the victory pinning Rowan, they can't flip that mid-match and go, right, we're gonna do this to Rowan and we're gonna pin Harper. It has to be different. So those guys would have had to have called that together when they realized there was a problem, which again I think is quite evident that you could see it slowed down a lot. I feel that that was called on the fly. It might not make much sense to everybody else, but I'm bad with words. I know what I mean. I just struggle to
as long as you know what you mean, that's all that matters. I still think that they dropped the titles on Tuesday because of Rowan's injury, and that's New Day were the most recent opponent, so they kind of got the nod. But now let's talk about I can do this. I'm a professional.
No, you're not.
Okay, then, well, if that's the case, going into SummerSlam, there was rampant speculation, rumors, and all sorts of crazy ideas being thrown around. Things like Paul Heyman's going to turn on Brock, or Lesnar's going to retain, or Roman's going to turn heel. And at the end of the night, the only thing that had happened was Roman became Universal Champion, and this nightmare, this hostage situation in the main event was over.
Did you hear the news report? I think it was Meltzer that said that Vince called through to end the match 20 minutes early because Roman was being cheered at that point, so he called through for it to be finished early. SummerSlam finished 24 minutes earlier than it was meant to.
Well, you know what?
Vince was like, he's being cheered, quick, win now, do it now. They won't boo if we do it now.
I think of it this way. While I wouldn't put it past Vince to cut a match short for that very reason, I don't think it happened that way, because when do you think Roman Reigns or Brock Lesnar, or the combination of the two, were going to be going longer than 7 minutes?
Yeah, very true.
They are both very limited in their move sets. Brock Lesnar voluntarily, because you remember back in the day, Brock Lesnar used to do some moves. He did a shooting star press, for Christ's sake. Nearly killed him, but he did it.
That. Back in the day, I didn't watch wrestling back in the day. My first viewing of wrestling was 2010. I've gone back and watched things, but when you mention back in the day, I can't comment because I didn't watch it then. I watched it now, looking back at them. I'm sorry.
You know what? That's fair. Go ahead, and I don't remember what year it was, but Eddie Guerrero and Brock Lesnar, the show where Eddie won the title off of Brock. Brock did more than suplexes, didn't he?
He did. A hell of a lot more.
And yet here we are.
At the moment,
only resides in Suplex City.
His moveset are stiff punches, high knees, ramming people into the corner, suplex, F5, F5, F5. Fuck, the F5 isn't working. Let me bust his head open with an elbow. That's his moveset.
And Roman's isn't much better with Superman punch, spear. I picked up a Samoan drop, drive-by, drop kick.
He doesn't drop kick. Roman Reigns has never pulled out a drop kick.
I'm fairly positive I've seen him pull a drop kick once.
No, never. Really? I'm going to have to look at this up after this podcast.
Why wait?
Roman Reigns did a drop kick. He does the flying clothesline where he rebounds off the rope and does a jump and clotheslines. He's not done a drop kick, has he? His feet barely leave the floor.
Let's see. Okay, here we are live. Nope, that's not well.
What are you doing?
That was a video of him drop kicking CM Punk, but it's like a drive-by, except he kicked up with both legs instead of just one.
That's not a drop kick.
It's close enough to count. Yet here we are.
A drive-by is not a drop kick.
No. It wasn't a standard drive-by. He jumped up and kicked him in the head with both of his feet.
But that's what a drive-by is, isn't it?
That it was running by and kicking him in the head.
Yeah, but he uses either one or both feet. It's not a drop kick like Randy Orton or Dolph Ziggler.
No, not like that.
Yeah, that's a drop kick.
Center of the ring. Braun Strowman's drop kick is amazing.
Braun Strowman does drop kicks, and I sat there going, what the fuck is that? He's not allowed to do that. Coming off both feet at that speed. Get out of here. No way. Right, anyway, we're getting off topic. Roman's the Universal Champion. Discuss.
Okay. Was it a good idea to turn the title over?
Yes.
Now, is it just so we have somebody that defends it? Or you're tired of Brock Lesnar, period? Or you think Roman Reigns is the man? Explain.
It's a bit of both. WWE knew they had to take the title off Brock. WWE knew that the only person they were going to give it to was Roman. It's so difficult to call. I'd hedge my bets on it being it's Roman's time more than we needed to get it off Brock, but both were the truth in some way.
Did Roman need to win the title, or could it have been someone else?
Roman needed to win the title and then either keep it or lose it. One of the two.
I think the other big story coming out of SummerSlam's main event was the neutering of Braun Strowman and the Money in the Bank briefcase.
What a throw that was, by the way, by Brock.
Yeah.
Yeet. See ya.
Can't cash it in if it's not near you. Taps his forehead. Got to think about it.
Did you see the meme where it was like Brock picked up the briefcase and then somebody's done a Photoshop where he's opened it and gone, bologna sandwiches, and then just the image of it being thrown. Like Braun brought the wrong lunch. That made me laugh.
I haven't seen it. You should share it to the Backstage Slam Facebook group. By the way, if you're interested in talking about wrestling with us and our wonderful community, head on over to Facebook and join. It's facebook.com/group/BS podcast, or just look up the Backstage Slam under the Facebook search bar. Join the conversation and, be chill. It's a pretty mellow environment.
Do it! Do it now! Do it now!
All right, before we seriously break down everything that happened with the SummerSlam picks and then the overall picks in the WWE Pay-Per-View Prediction League game, Season 2, I want to ask you about the follow-up to the Roman Reigns situation, because on Monday night, we saw the Shield reunite.
Oh my God, the Shield are heels because they attacked Braun Strowman. No, didn't happen. If they were heels, they would have let the bell ring first.
Yeah, I'm disappointed. They'd be a great heel faction. We need them to be a great heel faction. That way Roman can be a heel in a great heel faction. But, nobody's going to boo Seth when he's on his own. Nobody's going to boo Dean when he's on his own. And people aren't really inclined to boo them together. So, what is the point? Other than, you know what? People still don't like Roman, and they didn't want him to have the Universal Championship. So how about we get the band back together and give the fans a reason to cheer? That's the only reason I see. And plus, it does kind of hold Braun Strowman off, which is the best part of this booking, I think, so far. Because when Braun Strowman won the Money in the Bank briefcase, the thought was he doesn't need it, but he's got it. So what's stopping him from challenging for the title whenever he wants? Well, at the time it was, oh, the champion's not there. How do you challenge someone that's just not there? You can't challenge for a match if the champion is not there. But now the champion's there, so the question is, how can you stop Braun from cashing in? Oh, because the Shield is protecting the title. And that, I mean, to me, at least they're acknowledging the Money in the Bank briefcase and really putting forth the fact that, oh, yeah, this is a threat. And the only way to overcome that threat is to get arguably one of the most popular factions back together to protect the title. And I think that's just happenstance. They got lucky. And they're hoping that Roman gets a little more popular because of it. What say you?
I don't think it's going to happen.
What's that?
I don't think they're going to cheer for him.
Yeah, I don't either.
They will cheer the group. They won't cheer him as an individual. And if they do use the Shield as lackeys for holding Roman onto the title, then they are turning them heel. And then that is the wrong decision. Because you're trying to get Roman cheered, not booed. So why would you have him be the de facto leader of a heel stable that's keeping the title around his waist? It's contradictive. It doesn't work. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We want this guy to get cheered, so let's make sure that the two people around him are protecting him from the title like a coward. Yeah, that'll get him cheered. No, it doesn't work. If they're going to bring back the Shield, Seth needs to hold the IC belt. Roman needs to hold the world title belt. Dean needs to hold a belt of some description. Whether that means that him and Seth go for the tag titles, which they could easily do. Look at the fucking state the Raw tag title division's in at the moment. If Dean is left as the odd one out without a title, the consistent consensus from all fans will be, well, Dean's turning heel soon. He's going to split the Shield up. It's too obvious. They need to do something. All ripped. Yeah, but they can't just use Dean and Seth as the lackey for Roman. Do you know what I mean?
Fair point. I mean, after all, both Seth and Dean are former world champions themselves.
All three of them held the WWE Championship on the same night.
Yeah. And to think that Dean and Seth could be back together just to protect Roman, like you said, does not make Roman more sympathetic, which is what you need for a babyface to be.
Give Kevin Owens the Universal Championship.
That Braun Strowman match. Anything except a squash match. Just
Kevin Owens. I think it worked. As mad as I am about Kevin not having the title or not having the briefcase, I think if Braun was going to win, he was going to win decisively. And that's exactly what happened. Because it led everybody to the edge of their feet moment of, oh, well, Braun must be cashing in later. because he's not done anything. You know, he's done bare minimums. He's had half of a match. He must be cashing in later. They wouldn't have buried Kevin for that. Was the general complaints from fans.
That's exactly what I said during the live reaction show. Oh, I guess this means Braun is going to be cashing in later. But we didn't even get that.
I mean, he tried. Well, he didn't try. He announced and then got shite kicked out of him with the chair.
It reminds me of being at a video game arcade in the 90s where you set your quarter on the Street Fighter machine and say, I got next. Except in this case, when Braun Strowman said, I got next, Brock Lesnar said, no, you don't. Took the quarter and destroyed the machine.
Yep. With the machine being the briefcase in this scenario.
Okay, I would feel remiss if I didn't at least give us 60 seconds to talk about the two women's championship matches from SummerSlam.
Go ahead.
First being the triple threat, Carmella, Becky, and what's her face? Charlotte? Is that her name?
How could you do that, even if you're joking?
Because Becky should be champion.
Becky should be champion, and she will be champion.
And she's going to beat a better opponent for that title now that Charlotte has it.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing. Fans were booing Charlotte and cheering Becky, especially during that post-match beatdown.
Well, here's the question then. Was it a heel turn?
That is the question, isn't it? Because I think Becky was justified, extremely justified, that she beat down Charlotte after Charlotte found a way to, and she didn't do it like a sneaky type deal. It wasn't just management decision. But that was Becky's opportunity. That was Becky's match. And Charlotte found herself in it. You can't blame Charlotte because she was given the opportunity, and it's not like she went out of her way to take the opportunity. But since she's in the match, she's going to try and win, right? Makes sense.
It does. I don't think you can say that it wasn't a heel turn. It was a heel turn. Justification or not, it was a heel turn.
I disagree. It's not like she was breaking rules or doing anything unwarranted.
Okay, but look at the promo on SmackDown. They are pushing her as a heel. Whether they retract that idea because they realize nobody is going to boo Becky Lynch is a different story. But at present, she is a heel.
And technically, at present, Roman Reigns is a babyface, but he's won the Backstage Slam Heel of the Year award a couple times.
Yeah.
So it's all a matter of perspective, and these days it's getting really hard to define each person's role, which is sad in my opinion because we all need someone to cheer, we all need someone to boo, and the 50-50 boos and cheers I don't think moves the needle nearly as much as a really solid good guy versus a really solid bad guy.
I know what you mean.
So,
all right.
The
How
other
long have we been running? Because this is it feels like a very long podcast in comparison to the others. Ben's not going to be happy.
Almost an hour.
Almost an hour. Okay.
And that's why I just want to touch on Alexa Bliss and Ronda Rousey.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't think it was Ronda's time, but management feels otherwise, and I can understand why they feel that way, because she's not guaranteed to be around, for more than a year. So they're going to try and get as much out of her as they can. But when it comes to what she can do in the ring, while not horrible, it still lacks for a champion. I think it's too soon for her to be champion. What about you?
Here's the thing. Was it too early in Ronda Rousey's career to win the championship? Yes. Has she got the ability to hold the title and be the face of the Raw Women's division? To a point, yes. If it was, for example, who can I use in this situation? Someone from NXT on the women's division. If Shayna Baszler came up to the main roster and after 3 matches, of which 2 of them were World Championship matches, won the women's title, would you say it was too early?
No.
Why?
Now, would you say, are you asking specifically too early after the call-up, or too early because Shayna Baszler herself has only been in the WWE for, well, I don't even know how long.
Well, they were signed around the same time.
Baszler and Ronda?
Yeah, like not too far, because you think about it, the Mae Young Classic last year, Shayna was in, and Ronda wasn't signed until the Rumble. Obviously, we heard that she was coming, but they've been around, well, I'd say, obviously, Shayna maybe a few months longer and in NXT and fighting consistently. But they've been in and around professional wrestling for pretty much the same amount of time. But the difference is Ronda has this massive, massive mainstream following due to her amazing success in UFC, which almost gives WWE no choice but to put the big belt on her at the earliest possibility and let her grow with the championship as opposed to growing and then getting the championship. I think regardless as to when she picked it up, fans were going to get pissed off. The smarky fans like, oh my God, she's only got the belt because she's Ronda Rousey, blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, she's Ronda Rousey. She was going to pick up the belt regardless, and you were going to bitch about it regardless. Would you rather not her have it and see what she can do with it? Or would you rather have her wait and know when she does get that opportunity, she's going to take it? And by take it, I mean the championship, not the opportunity. You know, it was going to happen regardless. It was a matter of when, not if, not when. No, it's a matter of when, not if. I got it right the first time. I think it is too early for anybody else's perspective of a career. But for Ronda Rousey, they have no choice.
All right. I think that'll wrap up our SummerSlam conversation on that note. Now, go ahead and let everybody know the SummerSlam predictions.
Tallies. The all-in section, again, the winner was Jacob Hernandez with 8 points out of 13. Joint second were Jazz Hyde, Cassie Lee Black, Ryan Armstrong, and Tyler Black with 7 out of 13. And then we had Christian, Amber, and Brath with 6. In the all-in for fun section, we had Kevin Rodriguez, Daryl Presland, Herb Brown, myself, Risuke, Ben, Josh, and then Susanna. In that order, it was 9, 8, 8, 7, 7, 6, 6, 5. So, overall rankings for the moment are as follows. Jacob Hernandez leads the overall all-in section with 12 points. Jazz Hyde is in second with 11. And then there's a three-way tie for third between Cassie, Ryan, and Tyler. And in the all-in for fun section, Kevin leads with 13. Daryl is in second with 12. And it's a three-way tie between Herb, Reisuke, and myself on 11. And Josh is last. Wait, sorry, that was a bad cough. Sorry.
I'm sorry. I had something in my throat. I meant to say.
And he's not just last of just the all-in for fun section. He's last in overall section as well. With only
you had
8
to just
points.
go ahead and clarify that, didn't you?
With only 8 points out of a possible 18. 10 losses.
But I was one of. Oh wait, more people. I thought there was one match where I would look like Noster freaking Damas by being like the only one that picked the winner.
Yeah, you picked Mustache Mountain to win the tag titles in NXT, and everybody else put the Undisputed Era.
I thought there was another situation like that where, except I looked like, not an idiot. I guess it was the Miz, but a few people did pick the Miz. I think the biggest weird moment of the night was AJ Styles technically losing because of disqualification.
Yeah, that screwed a few people over.
Yeah, that was a major, major twist right there. And three people picked Samoa Joe.
Yeah, the other one that sort of threw a lot of people off was actually the Bludgeon Brothers, because obviously the New Day won via disqualification, and I think it was 2, 4, 6, 8 people picked New Day, and
I was one of them.
2, 4, 6, 8 people picked the Bludgeon Brothers, so it was a 50-50 split straight down the middle. But I don't think the result went the right way for anyone, if that makes sense. Because the people that picked the New Day wanted them to pick up the titles at SummerSlam, and they didn't. And the people that picked the Bludgeon Brothers expected them to retain the titles decisively, and they didn't. So either way, everybody won and lost at the same time. You know? It was a bit weird.
Now, real quick, the last thing I want to touch on with this is how many people picked Braun Strowman
1, 2, 3,
to cash in?
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Half the field.
Half the field picked a guy that was not even in the match, because that was how it expected it was to be. There was to be a cash in.
Well, myself, Rasuke, and Susanna picked Kevin Owens to cash in, so we're even bigger idiots.
You picked the guy that didn't even have the briefcase.
Yeah, I went for the shock outsider. But obviously, with Kevin Owens losing the match, we lost the extra point as well for the main event. So that put us down a bit. But to be honest, had I have picked Braun Strowman to retain the briefcase, I wouldn't have requested, or I wouldn't have predicted that he would cash in. So looking back on it, I really lost out on 2 points, because I never would have expected Braun to cash in at SummerSlam. I thought they were going to tease it, and he wouldn't do it. And he teased it, and they didn't do it. So that's that. But yeah, no, only 3 people, not even a quarter of our viewers got Roman.
I think only 2 of us picked Brock.
Yeah, you would be right. You've got Josh, yourself, and Ryan, by the looks of it. Ryan Armstrong.
Our previous champion in season 1.
He doesn't count. I came first.
Okay, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping this up. I want to take a brief second. This is a live broadcast after all. But there was some breaking news a little while ago. This is going to date the podcast, let you know exactly when and where we recorded. Earlier today, not terribly long ago at all, there was another mass shooting in the United States, and this one hits pretty close to home because it was here in my town of Jacksonville, Florida.
Oh, sure.
I don't know all the details right now because I've been doing show preparation, catching bits of news as it crosses my Facebook feed. All I know is 4 people have died, 11 injured so far. And apparently this happened at a Madden tournament. So more details will be coming from the news as it becomes available. But I just wanted everybody to send some positive vibes, some positive feelings, thoughts, prayers, whatever you want to call it, to those affected by the shooting today. And also, if you have a little bit of extra energy, send some love to Hawaii because they just got hammered by a pretty big hurricane. And that's in addition to the volcano that's been erupting for several months now. And as you know, our good brother Ben resides in Hawaii, so that's why you're not hearing his voice this week. So a lot of people could use some positive feelings. Send out some tweets, just anything you can to let others know that you're thinking about them would be greatly appreciated. Go to the Facebook group, join the conversation. We talk about wrestling there, and post some funny memes every now and then. You can find me on Twitter at SemicoreJosh. And that's where the whole Semicore thing comes from. Semicore Josh. Michael, where can people find you on Twitter?
Oh, I'm just checking that because I always seem to get it wrong. It's at msproat21, SPROATE, and then the digits 21.
And don't forget to head on over to the Patreon page. I don't have the address for that right off the top of my head, but you can find all the pertinent links over at the Backstage Slam Facebook group, and I really do hope you check that out. It's been a good week to talk about wrestling. SummerSlam, good show. Michael, overall impressions, letter grade. Let's give it a letter grade.
What, for the show or for SummerSlam?
For the show of SummerSlam.
B.
Yeah, I'd say it's a solid B myself. Okay, all our thoughts, all done, all wrapped up. I'm not really good at closing out conversations, so how about we just do it this way? On behalf of everybody here,
just gonna cut the feed there. That would have been the worst ending ever. We're gonna end it like this.